To them it's a crime, it's no secret. It's plain to see. Yes, I love you, and you love me. And it's no secret. Yes, I love you. Day I think of you, looking for some sign that you feel the same way too. And I know you're mine. We can't use no telephone, but others can hear. And all I get is a dial tone, but the message is clear. It's no secret, and it's plain to see. Secret. You know it's true. You love me. Yeah, I love you. Yes, I do.
Okay, we're not talking about the DC Snipers. Thank you for bearing with us. We have a promo shoot today for work, so I had to do the podcast here in at the Fox studio. And so, can you guys hear me? Can I get a clap? Oh, we need to unmute your mic. Invite you to video. Can you hop on? Okay.
Stayed up all night playing video games and had to go to work the next morning.
Thanks,
Fell
guys.
asleep driving.
All right.
Head on.
That's not my graphic. Okay. Samita, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Samita? Oh, yay. Okay. Did you get an invite for video?
I did. I did not realize there would be a video component. Hold on, let me.
Oh. Oh my goodness. Okay. Do you want to be on?
So no, it's fine. Yeah, sure. I mean, let me see if I can put a filter on my. No, I'm just kidding. That's fine. Go ahead. Send the invite again, and I can.
Okay. That's great. So let me get a hold of Bregan and tell her I need my graphic. Because we are obviously not talking about okay. The DC Snipers. That is not us. Okay, here we go. Bregan, I need my graphic in the monitor. Okay. So hopefully. Okay. All right. Hi. How are you? Okay. Okay. I'm seeing all of our friends. Aish Whitney joining us. Our friend. And Samita's here. She's just getting her video started.
Not yet.
A lot of you who join us on Fireside. By the way, perfect time to go ahead and share with other Firesiders right now if you can, before we get started. And I do need to change the background. I mean, this is technical difficulties, what we deal with in television. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Oh, there we go. The graphics gone. So that means hopefully for my box. So it's been kind of crazy because I have to be honest, we're moving all these cameras around. We were shooting Fox 5 always does big Halloween shows. So they literally just got done doing this huge performance and filming and stuff. And it's like one person in, the other person out. And then we're shooting World Cup stuff. So it's just all kinds of. But we have a great show for you today. And I know we're running just a couple minutes behind, but hey. Enjoy your company, and this allows actually some people from our intimate audience to just trickle on in, which we love. Let's see here. Okay, and remember, at any point you can hit the request button, and if you want to make a comment, if you want to ask a question, we'll make it happen. So that's what it's all about. So these are all the right lights, right? Oh, and there's yes, the right show. We're here. Now, and Eugene, these lights are the right ones, right? I'm all good? Yeah, okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna mute. I know. Thank you. Thank you. I know. Yeah, it does. And you know, we're on right now. We're just waiting for everyone to get on. and then we'll get started. But yeah, it said that we finished their dance and it was good, and smooth transition. I was watching it jump in. Just
Are
so
they going to send me a new invite for video or
let me see. Invite to video. Did it come through?
not yet?
Mm, I'm wondering.
It's
I'm gonna
saying
get
that my invite.
this booster is. Oh, here we go. Speaker request. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Hold on. Invite to video. For some reason, like I can't see my video on this one when I'm on the Wi-Fi, which is weird. But did it come through, Samita?
No.
Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove you from the stage, and then I'm gonna redo it. Hold on. Invite to speak, and then invite to video. Yay! Then there was Samita.
Those claps are wild.
Isn't that funny? But that's why we like this platform, because it allows people to clap and use emojis, and you'll hear laughs and so forth. No boos. We don't boo people on here. Or on Fireside, we like to say you get kicked. We'll kick you off, but we haven't had
Yeah.
to do it. Ooh, more light. Yes, Eugene, give us the good light. Okay. Just so you know, Samita, because I know you're probably new to Fireside, right? It sounds like most people are. Is that we will, after we finish the talk, I go back and I recut it to put on all the different platforms, with ins and outs, and we clean it up and all that good stuff. And then we also air like a small tidbit on Fox 5 as well. So
Cool.
yeah, look at you with the zoom in. Love it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm trying to be the zoom out, but yeah. Let's see. I'm on mobile, so
But we'll go ahead and get started. And remember, our guests, if you have a question, you want to jump in at any time, just hit the request button. We'll pull you up on stage and then call you in to the conversation when the time is right. So today we have a wonderful guest joining us for this edition of the Oh My Golf Show. Samita Mukhopadhyay is not only a writer, but an editor, a digital strategist, an author. She's got the forthcoming book, The Myth of Making It, coming out. And that's going to be kind of the topic that we're talking about today. And I know a lot of ladies are joining us, and even some of our guy friends, which is great because we all are either married or we have a good girlfriend or we work among women. So I think altogether it's a great conversation for all of us to have. You are also, Samita, the former editor of Teen Vogue, and you are someone who knew at a very early age that you wanted to be a storyteller. And specifically, you really wanted to tell the stories of women. So I wanted to start with that. What shaped your desire to go into the field of journalism?
yeah. Well, it's nice to meet you, Angie, and thank you so much for inviting me on today. Um, Normally, I have a full face of makeup on, so this is an exciting and authentic experience for. um, so if you would believe, I worked in fashion. No, yeah. So I think there's so many different reasons I had ended up kind of working in journalism. It was a little bit accidental. I think I started my career thinking I would be more of an academic. I was really interested in women and gender studies. And one of the things I realized, in going to grad school was a lot of the most important ideas that we have around gender and equality are locked up in academia. And what is the point of kind of learning about these things if my own mother can't understand them or my friends, or like it's above their head? Um, And I realized that I really wanted to be able to translate these kind of complex ideas for a broader audience. And so that was one thing. And then the other was just looking at and seeing that so much of, the values that we believe in society come from people telling their truth, right? And living in their most authentic self, and really seeing the kind of power of stories. And so, pretty early on, I had started blogging in the early 2000s, and just like sitting in the corner of my room, like writing these blog posts, like, you're not thinking about impact. And the number of women that kind of came forward and they were like, thank you so much. Like, I am, a young South Asian woman living in the Midwest. Like, I've never, seen a woman talk about feminism or discrimination in our community. And so I just started to realize the power of storytelling and building community. And I think, so much of storytelling, in a lot of ways, journalism is like the truest form of activism, right? Because it's shedding light on injustice, but then it's also creating space for people to say, like, I identify with this thing and it makes me want to be part of a bigger community. And so that's really what motivated me to start.
Writing it led to great success for you, and you worked really, really hard. You worked really, really hard for many, many years. You are still working hard, but at the same time, you've described yourself as a recovering girl boss. So I wanted you to explain a little bit about what that exactly means.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the process, so I'm still untangling it. But I think that in many ways, I bought into this idea that if you work hard enough, if you sacrifice enough, if you focus enough, um, you will get everything that you want, that you can kind of have it all. And I say this as someone who's always been really skeptical, right? Like, I have, this background in feminism. I am, very cognizant of all of the different ways that women are set up to fail, both in terms of in the workplace and kind of the lack of equality in the workplace, but also at home and in parenting and motherhood and all of these kind of obstacles. I have a good language around how these kind of structural inequalities impact us. But personally, I had really internalized this idea that I don't think is fully false, which is that if you work hard enough, if you focus on your goals and you keep your head down, you will be recognized for your work and you will kind of get the things that you want. And I just realized that I was working and working and working, and I still wasn't totally happy with where things were going. And I was like, what does this mean, right? Like, does this mean I'm not working hard enough? Because I just physically don't even think that's possible. Or is there something bigger in terms of how I evaluate success, what I see success as? And that's not to say that I work any less hard. If anything, lately it feels like I'm working harder because that's kind of what it means to work on your dreams and to write books and things like that. But to really start to think about what does it mean to kind of girl boss, quote unquote, on your own terms, so it's not just that I am living somebody else's ladder dream of like what it means to become the vice president or the executive editor or the editor in chief or whatever it is that you kind of want for your long-term career goal. But to say, does this actually make me happy? Does this work feel impactful? Am I reaching the kinds of people that I want to reach, while also recognizing that women are, kept out of many leadership positions just across the board. I mean, structurally, we are left out. But us as individuals do not need to bear the brunt of it, right? Like, we alone can't overcome a lot of these obstacles. We really need to do it in community. We need to do it by organizing our workplaces and finding power in other ways. And it's really important, I think, especially now that women are taking care of themselves and that we're saying, like, where is my ambition leading me? How is that, connecting with my family or with my friends or my community? What are the things that nourish me and keep me feeling grounded? And those are really hard questions to answer when you are so used to having to sacrifice everything for your job. But like, that is, when I think of like myself in recovery, that is where it is. It's like, there's the like, I'll just work through the weekend. It's totally fine. I'll just cancel those dinner plans version of me getting things done. Or there's the like, is this that rushed? Like, is this work gonna, this work is gonna stay there. It will remain. I don't need to do it. I don't need to sacrifice everything in my life to kind of achieve these goals. And so that's really what I mean.
Yeah, and for people that get stuck in that rut, I mean, it's almost like a drug, right? It's like I feel like if I don't do this to-do list, if I go and I do have drinks with friends and sit by the pool, like I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
What? We're wasting time. What brought us together is Elle Magazine recently put all of this into words. They had a bold title that resonated with a lot of women and a lot of readers. And it was What Comes After Ambition? Hustle Culture is Dead. Did American women's drive go away, or has it morphed perhaps into something new, something better? And in it, the author, Anne Friedman, she starts off by talking about this shift that she's seen among her own friends, people who've sacrificed everything to continue to climb the ladder, to continue to climb the ranks. And then her ambitious friends she talked about. But then all of a sudden found themselves backpedaling, and the pandemic had a lot to do with that with a lot of people, but also finding out that, gosh, I want to work, but I don't want to be worked to the bone. And there has to be a better way to have health insurance, make money, and still feel a sense of success. And above all things, just not be stressed the F out, right? And have happiness. And so she coined this as a revolutionary reckoning for women when it comes to our ambitions and how we define it. Uh, do you agree with her assessment in that we are in a revolution, that we are seeing this kind of shift?
Yeah, I do. I mean, as you know, I'm quoted in the piece, and Anne is actually a really old friend of mine. So it was, really kind of awesome to talk to her about this and about the thesis of my book as well, which is this moment that I think women are in terms of redefining what success means to them. I think the caveat that I would add to that is the ability to question your commitment to work comes with a layer of privilege, right? Like, I don't think a lot of working mothers, especially, have the option to be like, I'm feeling a little less ambitious right now. I just don't want to work as much, right? I mean, most Americans are wage workers. They are in vulnerable industries. They don't always have job security, especially mothers. We know statistically don't have job security. So I do think that there is, but I think even those women are like, I don't want to work all the time. Like, I don't want to have to work all the time. And I think, we are having this reckoning, but I don't know that women are getting the support they need, because I think there's an expectation that we still will go above and beyond and that we will work all the time. And I think there has to be a bit of a balancing act. I feel the same way. Like, I'm like, I don't want to work all the time. I don't want these jobs where I'm working all the time. And then yet I still have that. I'm still, on some level, I do have to do a certain amount of work to earn money, to pay my rent, to keep up with the lifestyle that I have. And um, I think, so what I am sensing from women more than anything is that they are having these realizations, but they're not as empowered as they could be in terms of doing something about it, because we don't, necessarily live in a culture that supports unplugging, that supports taking some time off, taking sabbatical, all of the things that I think, a healthy kind of work culture would give us. So yeah, I would say that's my main caveat to us rethinking it. But yeah, I do think that a lot of women are looking at their lives and they're like, I don't need to work all the time. Like, I can sell my Gucci bag on Real. Like, I don't need this. Like, I don't, like they're like,
Yeah,
I don't
you
actually
working
want
month to
to
make sure it's not
sacrifice.
stolen. So if you're willing to wait for the money, uh, you make a lot of great points there. And I guess my question is because we as we'd like to consider ourselves successful women, right? We do a job, we do it well, and we're asked to mentor younger people and other people coming behind us. So, how do we strike that balance of still showing the power of ambition, the power of having passion and drive? Because there has been so much done to get us where we are and to at least get us somewhat, at the table. We're not leading the table as much as we'd like to be, right? I mean, you made that point earlier, and the numbers don't lie, and the statistics don't lie. But as far as like inspiring future generations and women, and I've got two daughters, to achieve professional success and happiness, it's like, because they see both sides. They see me, they're like, Mom, you work so hard, you work so hard. But then they also see the me that comes home and I'm like, I can't talk right now. I got to edit, I got to do this, and it's on the weekend. And they're like, this is our weekend. And I don't hear it until they get really mad at me. And they're like, you're never here. And my husband's like, she's here on the weekend. Yeah, but she's working on her podcast or her story, you know. And then those start to seep into you. And so they see kind of both sides of that. So I don't know. That's where I'm stuck, to be honest. That's where I'm stuck. And so if you have any advice,
I mean, yeah, I mean, I think that you paint it perfectly. I mean, you are basically forced with impossible choices. It's like if you could spend all your time with your girls, you would, and if you could spend all your time on work, you would. You know, and and this is what I mean about like how it's almost impossible to have both, and do both. You know, be present for both of those things. But I also will say, like, this is not a pressure that is on men, right? It's just it's fundamentally not. They're not expected to spend as much time with their families. If they do the bare minimum, they're celebrated so widely for it. They're like, oh my God, he's such a good dad. He's going on paternity leave. And it's like,
I'm like,
it's just not the same.
scars. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just it's not the same. And so I think, yeah, and I think that it's, you know, you have to go. My advice for you, Angie, would be to be easy on yourself and to give yourself grace when you're not able to spend time on everything.
One of our viewers and our listeners, Pilar, who is a mom who's also killing it and was really excited to talk about this topic. Pilar, I sent you the invite. Hopefully it went through. You there? I don't know if this computer is. Let's see here.
It did. Hi.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Am I on mute?
No,
Can you hear me okay?
you're on. Yeah, but is your video on? Or let me see if your video's on. I'm using a different Wi-Fi, so this has been kind of interesting. I might have to get up to do it.
Let's see.
Give me 1 second. Don't worry, we're gonna get you. Remove from stage, and then I'm gonna go ahead and invite. Oops, sorry that Blair Witch projecting you guys with this thing. It's just the internet is so so weird. Oh, there Pilar is. Okay. Okay, guys. Technical difficulties. Don't worry. I'm a good editor. I will edit all of this up. I'm on 3 different Wi-Fi's here. I don't even know if my lights are still on, but so I appreciate you doing this and hanging with us through all that. Pilar, good to see you. What's up, girl?
Oh my goodness, it's good to see you too. And this conversation, it's dear and near to my heart. I've invited some amazing friend moms of balancing motherhood, careers, and your inner voice. So to me, the question of how do you listen to that inner voice and what kind of questions do you ask, first of all, yourself, to be able to truly be true to yourself about that question of, is ambition really all that it's worth? Am I sacrificing my body, my family, myself, for what in the end? And once you've answered those questions, how do you have the courage to follow through, to stay true to that decision? In my case, I had a company before I became a full-time mom. I was traveling the world, earning great money. And then one day I said, I have these girls who, exactly like Angie, never see me. And when they see me, it's this level of stress. And I don't want them to see a woman in that light. I am their example. I am that model that is creating in them what they could be. And so my question is, how do you listen to that inner voice? What questions do you ask? And second, what models do you create for our future I would say girl generations, but boys are also part of this conversation as they see women in this state of lunacy.
Oh, Samita, are you muted? Muted?
Oh, that was the problem. I was like, am I frozen? Wow. How can you have it all when you can't even unmute the Zoom? Um, Pilar is frozen for me. That's what I was asking. Is she frozen for you as well, or
She is. So
okay?
that might be her Wi-Fi, but
Oh,
isn't she
no.
pretty? So I mean, I'll, I'll go ahead and you can still hear us. I'll just remove her from the stage so we don't have her like stuck there, looking like that.
Um,
But a great question,
yeah,
though.
I think yeah, but yeah, I think this question of models. I mean, this is such an important one, right? Which it's hard to just like live your life, and that's hard enough. But then to be like, I want to make sure that I think especially for your children that you're kind of setting the right example. And, one of the most interesting things, and I say this, I actually don't have children, but I do find it's fascinating how many, when you talk to other people who had working mothers, they learned more from not what their moms did or their work or the conversations they had, but how they felt when they were kind of watching these things, right? And I think that when they like kids can tell when you're committed to your work and it's really passionate for you and you're excited about it and you want to do it and they want to be part of that. Like that's electric for them. That's exciting for them. And I think the more that we live in alignment with, it's kind of like that old thing of like, oh, I don't want to get divorced for the kids, but then the kids have to live through this like toxic and horrible relationship. And it's like the same, right? It's like, it's like kids know that stuff. And I think that so many young women they are really trying to figure out right now how to navigate these bigger questions because they're seeing how burned out we are. They're seeing how many impossible choices we had to make. And a lot of them, especially the younger women that I worked with at Teen Vogue, like they were just like, I'm not doing it. Like I'm not making those sacrifices. I'm going to focus on my family or I'm going to focus on, being moderately successful while having all of these other things and not put all these unfair expectations on myself to kind of live success on the terms that have been laid out for me that are frankly unfair. And I think that's interesting. Like, I think to just be like, no, I'm not going to do that. And also being honest with the people in your life about your limits and be like, I actually can't do that. Like, I remember I had this one year where my New Year's resolution was saying no. And it was so powerful. Like, I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that. Like, I can't say yes to every single thing. I can't do every social thing. And people internalize that. They understand that and they actually respect it. I really respect people that have good boundaries.
Yeah, no, I mean, boundaries, and it's so hard to get to that point. And I tell a lot of people, I wish that I could just take the year off, right? I mean, where you say no to everything, like, not necessarily even just work, but like just no to hosting an event, to emceeing this, to volunteering, to being the chaperone at the kids' school. I just want a year off, and I think that that's also, though, I feel like such a sign of burnout too. I think that a lot of us, and burnout is a real thing. I mean, it's I've done a lot of research on it because I'm like, what is in my body? Like, what is happening? What is this feeling? It's so hard for us to put it together. But I also wanted to ask you about the traditional markers of success that we were all raised on. I have a military father and a Korean mother. And people that know me know the story. I was destined to go to West Point Military Academy. I was going to be an engineer. I was going to have health insurance. I was going to have a family. I was going to be successful and always have stability and be able to climb the ranks and, maybe be a 4-star general. That didn't happen. I didn't even get into West Point, right? So, so that stopped right there. But I still got to do what I wanted to do. But we talk about titles, we talk about money, and for a lot, those are the markers of success. And so, do you think, one, how important it is to really zero in what you want, I guess, in that season of your life. And do you see that that is indeed changing for women now?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, Angie, you know, you may not have gotten to West Point, but I mean, look at you now. You're you're a celebrity. So it's a, you know, it's like these are the impossible choices that we have to make. But I also, you know, I'm like a kind of religious and spiritual, so I do believe that the things that are supposed to happen for us, and like the doors that close are, you know, reminders that other opportunities await us that we may not even understand. And I do think I was actually just reflecting on this to a friend this last year. You know, career wise, things went a little differently than I was expecting them to for myself. And um, it was really when I stopped trying so hard to get that title and to get that deal and to get, you know, the things that I thought I needed and I wanted. And I let the universe kind of present opportunities to me when I started to realize that maybe where my kind of navigation was pointed was not actually the right direction. Like that wasn't my best self necessarily when I'm being really ambitious or I'm feeling really motivated. And that's not to say that we don't all have goals. And, you know, I think the title thing is really fascinating to me because I think that I would like to say that it doesn't matter, right? Like, well, what difference does it make? But I also want to say that women are left out of senior titles, right? Like there are just not as many CEOs that are women. There are just not as many executive editors that are women. And so I think it is important for us to be, you know, demanding those titles for ourselves and to be working for them. But I don't necessarily think that like everybody's life needs to be some kind of feminist example. And you know, one of the things I really realized, you know, I had a big title. I had a big job with a big title, and it did change my life and it did give me access to kind of a new set of opportunities. But once I got there, I was like, do I just keep going? Like, do I just keep going? Or is there something that's like I step back and I'm like, what about this do I really enjoy? And so I often tell young women, like, I don't think that we don't want to abandon this thirst or hunger we may have to advance in our careers, right? Like that's not something we want to do. But we also just want to be honest with ourselves. Like if working all the time doesn't make you happy, that means that like being the CEO of a startup is not the best job for that.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We just in Marina Morocco, one of my co-hosts here at Fox 5 and one of the hardest working women in the biz. You work like 80 hours a day. On TV any time of the day, you're gonna find this woman on there. But we actually have a promo shoot we have to go to, and so, but she's of course making time to come in on this conversation. She's the one that actually sent me the article, Samita, and I was like, oh my gosh! And then I found myself sharing it with so many other women, and so. Marina, I know that you only have a couple seconds, but I would love if you have a comment, a question, anything.
Yeah, no, I think it's an important conversation because ambition oftentimes has like a very negative connotation. I think we have to own it too and kind of make it our own and not weaponize the word as if I want to work more, you know, whatever strikes your balance. And I think that not everybody's balance is the same.
Yeah.
Right? That everybody's got to kind of give ourselves, like you said earlier in the conversation, a little more grace. And I think that we honestly, as women, we're kind of our own worst enemies to ourselves. Yeah. We're oftentimes our own worst critics, but I think we need to rally next to each other and have allies like Angie. I mean, one of my best friends, not just at work, but outside of work, because we recognize the same path. We're working it. I don't have any children, but I see how hard she works.
But I'm 20 years older than her, so I'm a little more seasoned, so.
No, but that's the thing. Despite age and despite paths and children, I think that we all are kind of like forging the same way and kind of figuring out what we can and can't do, and it's very different to each of us, and I think that sometimes we're our worst enemies, and that kind of, you know, I think it's also a societal thing that's been put on us, like you're doing too much.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm laughing because I'm like, I was so busy this morning and I just like, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't have time to do my eyebrows. Like, I cannot believe, you know, and then I'm just like, what if I just embrace this moment? And like some days we just don't get to the eyebrows, and that's okay.
go shoot something, but you guys keep it. I think that this is valuable, putting it out there on big publications and just getting out on the internet and having women like us read it. I think it's empowering to know we're not by ourselves and people are having these conversations, and we just have to keep it going and letting it grow.
Yes, and find someone who supports you, right? Surround yourself with good people. I mean, yeah, so thank you, Marina.
You got it. See ya.
Smile big. Yeah, so I love that. To be able to step in because we do talk about this a lot because we both kind of have the same career goals and everything. But like I said, I am a little older than her. I have kids. She just got married. And so she's at a different part of her life. And I see a lot of myself in her, like the way I used to be where, you know, and I now I'm just like, dude, just relax. You know what success is to me? Success is choices. Success, you know, I don't need to be the anchor of the Today Show, but it's choices. I want to be able to go on vacation when I want to. I want to be able to just, you know, have a schedule where the workflow doesn't, you know, kill me. To me, that's success. I don't need an anchor like every single show. But like you said, you know, there's a certain level of privilege, but at the same time, I look back and I'm like, God, you know, I used to work 12 days straight. You know, I would do that shift. I would work 12 days straight. I would not see my children. Like my husband lived in another place. And so I don't want to, you know, poo-poo like what it took to get there. But it's interesting to see the different levels, you know, women that are at different stages of their career. And in the article, one thing that I think she just talked about, I wanted to pull that up, was, what was it? There was something that stood out to me. It wasn't about being tricked. I took notes because it's such a good article, and I really suggest everyone to perhaps read it. And it does have kind of a, I mean, I don't want to say it's a one way of looking at things, but it's just another way of looking at things. I think for a lot of us, ego gets in a way too. And something resonated with me. She talked about like, gosh, you know, I find myself admitting that, you know, I'm really not that busy right now. I mean, collective gasp for all of us, like, go, go, go. Like, I mean, I used to scoff at people that are like, oh, I have time to ladies who lunch or to do this or to be at the school every day. And now I find myself yearning, you know, to be someone who just is not that busy. But there was a time in my life where, gosh, I could never admit that. I wouldn't want to. It was on to the next thing. And so any thoughts on that? And I know, April, you want to get in here too. So I'm going to have you come up next. I didn't forget about you.
Yeah, I really struggle with that, having downtime. And I sometimes have to ask myself, like, what am I running away from? Like, what am I so afraid of that I need to fill all of my time and not just give myself space to think and reflect? And I will say, and this is it's like not even a fair answer because, but I think you'll relate to this, Angie. But I do feel like when I give myself space to think and have downtime, I actually come back to the work better. It's like, you know, that's when I get the big idea, right? Is when I finally take a breath and I'm like, what is the big picture? What am I actually trying to say? And that's something I've really had to learn with the book, because, you know, I'm writing this book about how, you know, as a recovering girl boss, how my relationship to ambition changed, how I'm seeing it change in all of my friends' lives. And the way that I've been trying to girl boss through this book, like, I'm just like, I have to write this much every day, up and at 'em, you know, before, like, I'll get up at 6, like, before the workday starts. And my editor was actually like, you know, I think the book should kind of reflect what you're talking about in the book, and you shouldn't rush yourself and push yourself. And that's forced me to have space and time to really reflect on some of the deeper kind of philosophical and even emotional or cultural considerations that I just don't even think would have been possible had I not, you know, taken a little space or just taken that nap the day I needed that nap, or taken a couple of weeks off this summer to go travel and see my friends and things like that. And so I think that, you know, even the thing that we're afraid of, it actually ends up strengthening. When you work a little bit less, the work you do is more impactful, it's more satisfying, you have better ideas, you're more creative when you come to it. And so it really is like a business case for it, you know, in a lot of ways.
Yeah, wow. That's so insightful. Now, April, I want to go ahead and pull you up. Are you still there? Hopefully, you didn't leave us. Hey, girl.
I could not leave you. What do you mean?
Good to
Nice
see
to
you.
meet you.
Nice to meet you, April.
So I'm excited for this one because even though you're saying you're retiring from the girl boss, I feel like this whole panel is girl boss. Okay. But to reiterate what you were saying too, having a similar background to Angie knows a little bit that I'm prior military. And so I served as she was living the other way. And I think having that background, we don't know when to stop because we've always been taught go, 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 mission, 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 mission. And you hear that in your household. So now that I'm older, I feel like I'm still at that point that I'm still go, 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 go. And I don't feel ready to just sit down because I blog too, and I appreciate that because there aren't enough bloggers that just dive in and have conversations and put out their feelings, that I decided to do a magazine myself about mental health as a survivor. So how can and I still work government job, okay, people, I still work, okay, with kids. It's a lot and I'm producing so much. So how can I bring down the girl boss? Because part of that too, ladies, is anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. Everything that you're doing. It's so powerful. And it sounds like on some level, the kind of creative work that you're doing really feeds your spirit, right? I mean, we all know that blogging is not exactly a huge moneymaker, but it's, I always call blogging the third shift, right? You have your job, you have like taking care of the family, and then it's like blogging and social media and article writing and all of those other things that, and I will say, April, as a fellow writer, it's like, it's a condition that we have. It's like it's a muscle that you have to kind of express. And so, and I think that you can kind of only make the decisions for yourself in terms of how much you can take on and really check in with yourself around all of that. But I will say that if one thing is giving you a lot of nourishment, like there's value in that too, in the fact that like you're expressing yourself creatively and that makes you feel good. It makes you feel seen. It makes you feel heard. And in ways that your job that pays your salary probably may not, right? And so it's one of those really hard things. And I think that's why this conversation, Angie, when you asked me the first question, is a little bit rooted in a sense of privilege of people that can kind of like quit their job and work on their independent magazine. And it's like, most of us can't do that. Most of us have to do both. But one can really feed the other. And, I remember when I started blogging, like I was a public school teacher. And so I would get up at 5 a.m. and I would write a blog post and then I would go to school and I would clear out, back then we had comments on WordPress or whatever we used, movable type. And I would clear out the comments during recess. And one day the writing became my full-time job. I did it for long enough on my own. I always caution people when I'm like, I did it, so can you. I don't, things have changed in the last 20 years. Like, that's not fair advice. I think for you, it's like, where does your energy feel good? Like, I bet you feel really electric when you put those magazines together. It probably just like feels really good for you. And the people around you will kind of feel that energy. And the more you see it as like a sacred practice that is helping who you are and how you're kind of engaging in the world. But if you're feeling that it's like really dragging you down, then it's like, yeah, you're burning out. It's too many different things that you're kind of working on.
I appreciate that. Yeah. Cause my go-to is like Twitter. So it's like I feed off of just like reality TV and just loving hearing the insights of other people and then having my own blog in general. But I appreciate you. This was awesome. Thank you.
Well, let's give a plug
Thank you.
for the magazine. Why don't you give us a plug where we can find, because I do enjoy, that's how we met, is through Twitter. So go ahead and plug where we can find all things April.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my magazine is called Mental Intimacy Magazine. And you can find that on IG exactly how it is, with a dot between intimacy and magazine. And the same thing for the website. It's mentalintimacymagazine.com. And of course, I don't know if you want to follow me on my Twitter though. But I do have a mental intimacy Twitter account as well. So please, share, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Angie.
Yeah, we love it. And April's right here on Fireside. You can always follow her profile here, and she has links to how you can connect with her as well. So we appreciate that question. And real quick, I do want to we have a male perspective. So we are inviting Walter to the stage. Hello,
Hey,
Walter.
Angie, can you hear me?
I can. Are you there?
I am.
Okay, just want to make sure. Did you want to come on video?
Sure, that's not a problem.
Okay, did the
Let
invite
me
come
accept.
through?
There
I
we
might
go.
have to get. Oh, there you are. Hey.
Hey, how you doing? I'm actually in a hotel room for another conference. However, the reason why I said from a male perspective, just like April, I was a military retiree, and my wife and I are both just busy. She's on board of directors organizations, and a couple of things happen. We're both in Zoom meetings and doing everything else, and my daughter walks in and says, "Hey, is somebody going to feed us? So somebody going to feed me?" And then I started watching my wife, and I know she's like through various organizations on calls late at night because with Zoom, you just think you can meet at all times. And so one of the things I actually did to her, I was like, "Hey, let's take a break. Let's cancel all meetings." She picked up golfing. I love to golf, and I would tell her to go golfing with your friends. I'll take care of our daughter and do some other things because I noticed that we were at that point of being too busy to even enjoy retirement, family, and other things. So when I look at that, I always tell my wife, take a break and move out. And so I do that to her. She does it to me also, just tell her to move out. So I really appreciate this discussion because it just resonates what I've seen between my wife and I.
Oh, love that. Walter, can you call my husband so that he can tell me to go golfing and do, kind of relax and just put everything on hold?
You know what, Angie? So, and I say that because my wife has battled me through various deployments, selling the home, moving, doing all these things by herself. So she's used to me not being there. And so I make it an effort to be there for her.
I love it. Love the love. Thank you, Walter.
Thank
Oh, that's great. I mean,
Yeah, I really love that because I feel like so much of this conversation is about what women can and can't do. I think such an important part of this is having community and partners that will also support us in these goals. I do think that often a lot of these girl boss narratives assume that like you do everything by yourself and you have to just hustle, hustle, hustle. But one of the most freeing things I felt in my life is identifying people that can support me. I mean, sometimes that's friends that I'm like, look, I'm having a really hard time. I need you to like take me to this place, or can you like help me with this like little thing that I'm trying to figure out, and I get on the phone with them, or just being really honest and open about the people around us when it's too much and we're sinking. And I think having a partner that really understands that and sees that is such an important part of it.
Yeah, I will say that has made this experience. I've worked all over the place at so many different stations and networks and markets, from the West Coast to the Midwest to here. And I will say, it's very hard because we always talk about women lifting up other women, right? I mean, there's always the National Women's Day, International Women's Day, but at the end of the day, so many of us just compartmentalize like everything, and we don't share vulnerabilities. It's like
Yeah.
we do everything with a straight face or a happy face. And so the fact that you met my friend Marina, this is like actually the first time that we both, I think, actually like go and we became friends, and it has changed the dynamic of the kind of work we do, our on-air chemistry, having that friendship on the outside. And I think for so many of us, it's been really hard, especially if you're in a competitive environment or a competitive industry, in an
Yeah.
industry that sometimes pits one against the other. A lot of them like to put women against other women, and it's just it's so. I agree. I think that it's a treasure when you find it, but you too have to do some work. You have to be willing to take that chance, and once you do, I mean, I could not agree more. I could not agree more. But this has been so amazing, and I know I have to go do this FIFA World Cup promo. Otherwise, I could sit here and talk with everybody all day. And our wonderful the audience that's joined us and their great questions. We really, really appreciate you. I just, in closing, Samita, where can we get more information? I know you're working on this book. How can we connect with you outside of this chat?
Yeah, well, I'm on social media at the Samita, on Twitter and on Instagram. I haven't been posting as much as I normally do because I'm trying to write a book. And I'm also editing a very cool feminist newsletter called The Meteor. So definitely check that out as well. They do events, they do all kinds of interesting kind of podcasts and all kinds of cool feminist things. Yeah, those are the places you can find me. And then look out for my book. It's coming out in March of 2024. So,
Woo! And so, I mean, hopefully I'll talk to you before then, but
yes,
we'll
definitely.
come out. And in closing, your best advice you ever had?
The best advice I ever had was the best advice I've ever gotten was to trust myself, was to trust my own voice, and that's something that I continue to learn over and over. You always know what's right for you. It's just a matter of if you're going to listen to it or not.
Biggest regret?
Biggest regret. That's a good. Wow, we're getting deep here. My biggest regret is staying in situations, whether it's a workplace or a personal relationship that was either toxic or not serving me for too long, for not cutting the cord sooner. And I think as women, we really worry about those things, about how it's going to look or hurt people's feelings or make them feel bad. And that is one regret I do have.
All right. Well, great conversation. We loved having you on, helping us really redefine this word ambition and what success really means in this day and age and how it's evolving. Samita Mukhopadhyay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Angie. It was so nice to meet you.
Contact you, so you're not getting rid of me.
Oh, perfect. I have no plans to.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.